Tired of paying gym memberships? Are you ready to build your own calisthenic park? Something like this? Well, here are the steps on how to make that happen. Come on, check it out.
Awesome, bro. How can we build something like this?
Wish I had something like that in my backyard.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. It is much easier than it looks. And I'm going to show you guys how to build it.
Dude, will you?
Today.
Dude, let's go.
What's happening now? We're heading to Home Depot. Let's go.
Let's do this.
All right, first we're going to grab some 2x4x8s, making sure they're straight, as well as pressure treated. It's going to be very important. Make sure they don't rot. Next, you're going to end up grabbing yourself a 6x6x12. Make sure, again, pressure treated.
What does 6x6x12 mean?
6 inches wide, 6 inches thick, by 12 foot long. And we're going to end up getting 5 of those today. These are 6x6x8s. These are going to be our ending poles for the triple set of dip bars.
So you have shorter 6x6s?
We're going to end up taking one of these 6x6s and we're going to cut it in half, and that's going to be our center bar for the triple set. The ones on the far outside, we're going to want to make sure that they're super deep, so they're going to be about 4 feet deep into the ground with 2 to 3 bags of concrete around there. Because of the force that you're going to be doing when you throw yourself out of the dip bars and catch on here, the big whip underneath there is going to be a lot of pull. So you really want to make sure that you bury them down deep, as well as have a good amount of concrete on there for stability. Again, pressure treated wood. And at the Home Depot, you can always find nice, good, straight 6x6s and don't have to worry about any twist, but you're good. All right, that's going to do it for the lumber section. Next, we're going to move to the bars. You can come into the plumbing section and then find the bars that you end up looking for. Most of the dip bars that we end up using are these ones right here, which are 1.25. This one right here for dip bars. For the pull-up bars, we'll end up using the 1 inch. And on the 1 inch, you're gonna end up cutting the bars in half and having them re-threaded. 1 inch for pull-up bars. Cut in half. A bar that long, with being schedule 40, will bend in the middle if you do not have it cut in half. And then if you end up looking in the accessories down here, you'll be able to find the flanges. This is a flange right here for the 1 inch bar, and they'll already be threaded. So you'll be able to go ahead and screw this on the bottom down here, put it into your pole, a couple of bolts through, and you should be set to go. Next is lags and the nails in the nail spot. Now it's important on the bottom of your 6x6s that you want to lag at the bottoms. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to drill into the 6x6. You're going to take in one of these, drill halfway in, stick it into there. So when you pour your concrete, it's not just grabbing onto the 6x6, it's grabbing on the 6x6 as well as your lag down there. So we're gonna pick up a few of these. All right, we're gonna need 16 of these because we have 8 poles that are going in the ground, so that's 2 on each side for it to grab even better. All right, the best way to attach your flanges to the 6x6s are gonna be using these down here. I typically end up using 1/2 inch by 7 inches, so that way you're going all the way through that 6x6. Now with the flanges that you're gonna end up buying from Home Depot, you're gonna actually have to get a metal drill bit and you're gonna have to re-thread drill those because they're smaller holes and you want something a little bit bigger and thicker to be able to go through there and hold on to them. For each hole, there's gonna be 4 of these. That's 1/2 inch by 7 inches. That means it's gonna go all the way through that 6x6, at least have an inch to be able to spare. You also wanna grab you a bag of 1/2 inch nuts. There's 13 in a bag, 427. Some washers. Same thing, 1/2 inch. Make sure you just grab yourself a bag. All right, next is going to get the concrete. Make sure you have a strapping young man to carry your wood for you. We're also going to need 16 bags of 80-pound concrete, which is Satcrete. So we're going to need 16 bags of the 80 pounds of concrete as well. All right, let's roll. On all the bars, this is why we don't use 4x4s or 4x6s. Always use 6x6. Sure, I think you could get away with doing a 4x4 post, but you start doing power moves on it, know that you're probably gonna end up splitting one of them. You're gonna end up having to buy another set anyways. And you're risking an injury, good point. You always go shorter for a little bit cheaper. Start a lot of that swinging and power moves going around. You definitely want enough in the ground that's gonna grab onto that concrete.
What if you don't have a big truck like this?
If you don't have a big truck, you can end up using a smaller truck like this. If you have no vehicle at all, rent one, U-Haul. You know, I mean, what you're investing here isn't just in a pull-up bar. You're investing in your gains and moves that you're going to be trying, and so you want a nice, secure thing. So make sure that you understand that you will have to spend a good amount of money on making sure you have a nice, solid set. To break it down, you think to yourself, how much is a gym membership? And I'll say even a decent gym for 6 months is $100, which is super cheap. But every 6 months, you're gonna have to throw out that $100. You end up spending $300-400, you got a lifetime set that's never gonna go anywhere, and you're never gonna have hours that limit you to when you can make gains. You want me to slide it or? Remember, we're building a bar park right now, not just a pull-up bar. So the overkill that you see on all these 6x6s and all these bags of concrete will actually be cut down to a much smaller load, so you don't need all of this. You can get just as amount of gains with a pull-up bar right in your backyard. It all is about the determination on how bad you want those gains.
So how many of these Satcrete bags would it take just to do one pull-up bar?
To do one pull-up bar, I always recommend 2 in each hole. 2 80-pound bags per hole. That's 160 pounds on each side. That should keep you nice and stable, where you don't have to worry about that bar tipping over or having any kind of sway in it at all. When you come to the Home Depot, you always get on their bar set. And make some gains. And now to the MuscleUp compound. All right, so what we have here are bars from a fabricator. So we took some of the bars from Home Depot that we purchased there, and instead of buying the flanges, we actually brought them to a welder slash fabricator and have them put a 5x5 flange welded directly onto the bar. Just like this, with the 1/2-inch holes, 4 of them around it, to hook into the 6x6s. I recommend this be the way to go. It's going to be the strongest and most secure. 3 dip bars for a triple set of dip bars and 2 pull-up bars.
Cool.
Let's get started.
So why do you lay them on the ground like that?
We're going to lay them out like this just to get an idea on how we're going to set these up. We'll have a triple set of dip bars that'll be right here, and we'll have 2 pull-up bars, one up here about 8 foot and this one down here about 7 foot. This will give us the ability to be able to do our pull-ups, muscle-ups, leg raises, etc., as well as our dips, knee raises, V-sits, and other types of workouts on a shorter set of bars.
So why do you put the bars on the ground again?
We set the bars up like this so we have an idea on how we're going to build these and how we're going to set them up. This is the best way, so at least you can start on this side over here and then work your way into the other bars that you're going to put up. So when we start, we'll start all the way on this one, and we'll go ahead and take our postal diggers, and right here marks the spot for our first spot that we're going to dig. Bars right here is going to be a triple set of dip bars, which you'll just have the triple set of bars here, and it'll be spots for 2 people to be able to do dips on either side. You'll be able to end up doing explosive dips down each side of the bar if you'd like. But all in all, it's just a good spot to end up having a setup in the shade and be able to do all your workouts on these bars that you're using. All right, so now the bars are on the ground. Our next step is to start digging. These 2 poles that are going in are 8 foot tall. So we're gonna have to go almost 3.5 feet to 4 feet deep to make sure that the bars in the end are about 4 feet tall. Let's get to digging. By the way, a great exercise for the shoulders. However, if you have access to an auger, I recommend one. When you start getting tired, make sure you have your buddy around and let him take a spot, get himself set in. All right, this is a 6x6x8. These are going to be on the ends. So we're going to go ahead and dug our hole. Kurt's going to lift this up. Nice.
How do you know if it's deep enough or it's at the right height?
Well, when we put our flanges on here, we want to make sure that we're going to square them off at the top here. So the bar is probably going to be right around right here. So if I was standing up next to it, that'd be a little bit high of a set of dip bars. So we're going to drop it down probably about 4 more inches so we can sink it in just a little bit more. You want to make sure while you're at the Home Depot, I already had one, but this right here is a long bit that's a 1/2 inch. This is what we're going to use for going through the post to hook the flanges up, as well as going to the bottom of the pole to put our anchors in. So that is what we're going to do right now, is put the anchors in first. So again, that's a 1/2 inch wood bit that you can pick up at Home Depot. One this long, you're running about $11 to $12. Power drill, preferably corded, is going to give you more power when you're going through. Battery drill will probably die out by the time you get done with one of the poles that you need. Let's get it done. All right, after you go through one side of it, halfway through, you're going to flip it over. Well, you can go all the way through if you want to. Doesn't really matter. You're just going through for braces. But since he went all the way through on this one, we're going to turn it on this side. And he's going to do another one right about here. And he's going to go all the way through with this one as well, since he did the same thing on the other one.
All right, so we just drilled another hole like you said. Went all the way through. We put this one a little higher. That way it can, you have two different spots for the cement to grab onto.
So when you end up putting your lag in, you're just gonna end up putting it in here. You're gonna hammer it all the way through. It's gonna start coming out the other side. Now it should be pretty loose like that. That's fine. You're gonna do the exact same thing with this one. Same exact thing. So now you're gonna have 4 sides when you put that in the hole for the concrete to grab onto.
So this is in the ground. This is the side in the ground?
This is the side in the ground, yes. The fuck is that? Alright, now you see how far this one's sticking out compared to how far that one's sticking out? That's why this one has to go in the ground about another foot.
So how do you prevent having to dig 2 holes or dig a hole twice?
Well, you just make better measurements. Measure twice, put in once. Measure once, put in twice. Alright, so we're digging this hole a little bit deeper because when we put it in there, they didn't line up quite well. So we're going to make sure we dig out a little bit more. That way that they end up lining up. It's always better to dig a deeper hole because then all you have to do is just push a little bit of dirt in there to end up leveling them out.
How do you know it's level?
We're taking this thing right here, which is a level, we're putting it on the bar, and we always want to make sure the bar is always level. Alright, we can go ahead and take it. Alright, so make sure when you're putting these up, and you have your 6x6 planted in the ground, that before you put 4 of them in, you want to focus on 2. One into this corner, and one into this corner, or vice versa, one into this corner and one into this corner. That's going to secure it on there nice and tight, but it's not going to take up the extra amount of time to put the other ones in there. You can end up doing that after the concrete is already cured. Alright, so you want to make sure that the flange is flush with the 6x6 and about an inch from the top. He's going to take the drill bit and he's going to go all the way through. You get a nut and bolt as well as a hammer. Once that's all the way through, he's going to go ahead and put a nut on the end of that. Socket wrench, 3/4. That's what you're going to use to tighten down the nut and bolt on the pole.
How do you know how tight to do it?
You want to tighten until you can almost barely push down on it anymore. Now he's going to do the other bottom corner.
And you go up or down?
Down. You're drilling, you're keeping your bit as straight as you possibly can, as well as going in and out with it to keep from the wood inside there bunching up and not letting you go all the way through the 6x6. Come on, we talked about that. Alright, so this little bubble in the middle here is what you're always looking for to make sure that it's going to be level. So when you're setting this on top of your bar, you're always wanting to make sure the bar is level. That is the most important thing. This is the first start of the dip bars. This is going to be the outside bar. That's why we used the 6x6x8s and put them in around 4 feet, almost 4 feet in the ground, more like 3.5. We put lags on the bottom of each of these so that when we're inside the dip bars and we toss ourselves out and we grab onto this side and we're swinging underneath here really hard, that there's plenty that's in here to secure the bar. All right, so we're going to measure the center to center of these dip bars at 24 inches. That's a good comfortable distance for us that we enjoy. Some people like 21, maybe 22. 24 is going to give you a little bit more room. That's still going to be very effective, but it's going to allow for a little bit more swinging around kind of street workout type of moves rather than just typical dips. So when you're looking for the next spot to dig, you're gonna end up taking a tape measure and you're gonna put the end of your tape in the center of this 6x6 and you're gonna draw it out on the ground here, and you're gonna look for the 24-inch mark. Where that 24-inch mark is right where you wanna lay that pole. So we'll find out where that's at. It's right around this area. Now remember, these holes are gonna be relatively big, but this is a good spot for it. Looks like it's right about on that 24-inch mark. He's gonna mark that. We're gonna come over to this side. We're gonna do the exact same thing. Center of the 6x6, bring out till we find that 24 mark. He's gonna set it right there. Right here is gonna be where he marks. After he does that, we can go ahead and get this out of the way.
Now it's time to dig.
Any hole that is shallower, you really wanna make sure that you widen it out as much as you can, so that way you can pack that 160 pounds of concrete into that small little hole. Right now we're drilling this in. This is all this board is acting as is a temporary brace. So we're just going to take a deck or wood screw. We're going to go right into this. Not going to go anything too snug.
And then before
we end up doing this one, we're going to level it and do a measurement center to center to make sure that we're at that 24 inches like we need to be. So he's going to set the level on top, the bubble's in the middle, so that is beautiful. That is exactly what we want to see.
should make a mark on both, on the 2x4 and on the 2x6 or 6x6. All right, so now you're gonna make sure it's flush up on the top.
That's good. If you have to help level,
Is it up?
they can lift this piece up now. Lift it up a little bit to where the bubble finally finds the middle. Up a little bit more.
More dirt, a little more dirt.
There we go. Once it's in the middle, you're gonna have somebody in a push-in dirt underneath there, so you can have that ball or the bubble land right there in the middle. We're gonna be putting the next bar on. We want to set our level on this bar over here, and that's the level we're gonna go off of. Find it onto this spot right here. And we're gonna go ahead and start our drilling. If you end up drilling a hole and your level's off, leaving this one in for now and going to the next side and getting that in level, and after you get that one in level, then you can come back to this one, re-hit it out, and then get this side level again. Once you get your leveled off, sure, and you want to go for it. Now, you look at the bubble here. Now that you got your bubble level, you want to go ahead and fasten this side in with your other bolt. If you already drilled one of your bolts in, and I suggest taking one of the nuts, and if this is a mis-drilled hole, go ahead and put it on there just a little bit. You don't need it on there all the way, and you're gonna hit the top of it. Start drawing it out. Now, it's really important to not mess up the threads. If you mess up the threads, well, then you'd have to go spend another $1.80 whatever for another bolt. So you have your end in here. You're gonna find something a little bit thinner, but still nice and strong. the flat tip. You're gonna place the tip directly in the center of this tip. And with precise aim, you're gonna hammer that bad boy right out of there. And as you're hammering out, you'll see it starting to come to the other side. You have your buddy holding on to it, and he's set. So you want to consistently check the measurement between the dip bars to make sure you're at that 23 inches center to center. Make sure you have yourself a little hatchet in case you're running into any roots or maybe buried pieces of wood, anything like that. You got something to chopping out, pulling out roots that are stopping you from getting to the spot that you need. When we're all leveled in, we're gonna find our spot. Want to go ahead and add another screw in the back of here just to help it from swiveling now. I wouldn't go all the way in with that one. Again, this is just to help kind of stabilize it while you're working on the other side there. We're gonna go all the way in until we grab onto that wood in there, and we're gonna just leave it like that. Now we're gonna head to the other side and get that all leveled out. We live in Florida. Our ground is typically really wet, so once you even dig about 2 feet down, you're gonna go ahead and hit water. So it's important that once you get your post set, that you go ahead and drop your concrete right next to it. Now you have one or two ways to do this. You either do it, dumping it in here while it's dry and making sure that you stir it really well with other water, or you can mix it pre-hand and then dump it into the hole. Now we're gonna opt to do this version because again, our ground is very wet. So us putting this concrete in here, we don't have to go add water to it yet, but the water that's already in that hole, we'll already go ahead and start getting soaked up by the concrete that we've thrown in there. Go ahead and put 2 bags of concrete in each one of these holes. Hold you on my back. Can give me that.
Just the tip.
Just the tip, Matt.
The important thing is that the 23 to 23 land in the middle of that circle.
Yeah.
Just checking just real quick, making sure that this one's going to be at that 23 mark. It is.
Right there is 23. Back to your right, there's 23.
Hold the pole right there. Don't move. Libby gets out of school at 2:30. Good.
Let me just check the level. Shut the fuck up.
Dude, I can't believe they killed the little. Do what? No, I mean we'll use the bent ones for the lags on the last one. This part right here is really important. I get this question all the time. How high should I set my pull-up bar? What distance should it be from the dip bars? Now this is all gonna be however you envision your transfers and what's gonna benefit you the most out of this. So for us, what I like to do is I like to hold the bar as high as I can so that I know that if I dead hang on the pull-up bar, that my feet won't be touching the ground. 7.5 feet maybe? Maybe 7? Yeah, 7.5 feet. And that's where we're gonna end up going in and sticking this one. This pole right here is completely level. That's level there, so it has to come in this way towards us. So we are lifting it up, getting it nice and flush with the flange that we have here. But the main thing, even if your poles are not straight, the main thing that you want level is the bar. So always making sure to double check your bar by setting your level up on top and making sure that bubble is directly in the center of that bar. You're still probably looking at this as it's being constructed and think, still gonna cost too much money to end up building. However, if you have and let's say 5 of your friends all throw in $100, that's $600 to build you guys a really nice setup. So if one of you guys have the yard to build it in, I think you guys could get some donations from the friends so you all can make some gains. So you might be wondering, why didn't we build this on the iMuscleUp compound? Well, as you can see, we got a good shaded area here. And in Florida, we need that shade to hide away from the sun at some point. So we decided to end up building a secondary spot over here, and we owe most of the thanks to the playground movement. The playground movement donated $250 to the iMuscleUp compound to have his name put on one of these bars, a couple of these bars. So we said we're gonna take it one step further and build them a whole setup just so we can represent the playground movement. Whoop, whoop. We don't have any long lags anymore, but we do have extras that we've taken off from the iMuscleUp compound off of stuff that we've taken down in the past. So we're gonna end up using these for the same thing. Now we're hammering these into these holes that we've already pre-drilled so that once we pour the concrete down in there, that the concrete doesn't just grab onto this 6x6. It grabs onto the 6x6 as well as each of these little lags that will be put into this board. Go ahead and set them in the holes. Just gonna let it sit there with a nice little lean. We're gonna go ahead and grab this pole. Go ahead and hook it up to this one right here. That way then we can find out exactly where this 6x6 needs to go to finish it off. The bar that we'll be putting up today, we're gonna try to set this one up a little bit higher than this one, just so that we have a little bit of a downfall for when we're doing some transfers, as well as if we have some taller people out here, be able to use that. You can always use the short bars of the dip set for the people who aren't as tall to still make gains. sponge. Like we talked about before, Florida has really wet grounds, but now we want to add some water to the concrete that we already have in there, just so that that way, once it ends up drying, it can really grab extra strong. All right, Curtis. Nice, that's good. After you pour some water in them, you take your poker stick, and all you're just going to do is just poke that down in there, trying to end up hitting any of the air, any of the dry spots that are in the concrete. As you can see it mixing up, you see that it's going to end up having a nice, good, solid grab. And you'll see that there is space in each one of these holes. So what we're probably going to end up doing is we're probably going to actually go back to Home Depot and grab a few more bags of concrete. We really want to make sure that none of these concrete pieces that end up hardening inside here end up breaking, because that's how you end up getting that nice little wiggle spot. So remember, it's important to know that this right here is a full 8-foot 6x6. This pole right here is a 6x6x12 that is cut in half. So this pole by itself is only 6 feet tall, all right? So you really want to make sure that these center posts that aren't as long as these ones have a lot of concrete around the base, so it really grabs on tight. The same goes with the 6x6x12s that we have 4 feet in the ground, but we still want to make sure that we have concrete as high as we can, so that way it has a lot more stability. All right, as you can see, the bars are already painted, and I pre-painted them just because I already had access to the bars. But when I paint bars, I use this right here. This is Rust-Oleum paint for metal, and I do not use the spray can. I actually use a roller to roll it on there. The best roller to use is a sponge-like roller, okay? Not the one with the little fabric pieces around it, but it actually looks like a big sponge, okay? Now you might have to go over it a couple coats to make sure that you coat it all the way, but after you're done, it's gonna have a much nicer feel, and it's not gonna be really gritty. So again, that's the Rust-Oleum. Using a roller, it's a little bit more time consuming, but it will in fact end up layering these perfect the way that you want them. As far as the poles go, we're just going to use an exterior black paint, which you can get at Home Depot as well. Roll that on, make sure you get a good nice finish, the tops and everything, and that'll actually seal it and give it a little bit extra couple years, so you don't have to worry about them rotting or anything like that. The last thing, if you end up going back to Home Depot, you can get yourself some stencils, get yourself some poster board, and you're going to put whatever name that you want to, and in this case, it's going to be the playground movement, or hashtag the playground movement, and then we're going to use that stencil to put on the side, and then I'll use a white spray paint to outline that stencil, and then pull the stencil off, leaving a trail of the letters that we picked out to put on each pole. So that should be a great way to finish off the last little touches that you need to for your own little compound. And I think that, if I do say so myself, it's a beautiful thing. That concludes on how to build your very own muscle-up compound. So if you guys have any questions or concerns, make sure you email us at iMuscleUp@gmail.com. Remember,